We really need to be encouraging people to cycle. We need contraflow cycle lanes. We need to make cycling and walking the easy choice for people in Limerick. And at the moment, driving is the easy choice, and cycling and walking is the hard choice. The bike scheme was such a positive part of transport infrastructure in Limerick when it first started 5 years ago. I'm a regular user. I have moved into my home in O'Connell Avenue, and I think one of the reasons that I moved into that house was because there is a bike stand across the road. It's so handy for like going into town and, you know, just cycling around. But that scheme is just deteriorating by the day. And there really just doesn't seem to be any sort of commitment from the National Transport Authority or the local council in relation to the upkeep of that scheme and I guess expanding it further. I guess the case in point would be the bike stand right behind me here at Colbert Station. And so the National Transport Authority were asked in a motion at Limerick Council, what is the plan for the bike scheme? So this was around September last year. And the National Transport Authority gave the commitment that not only would they open the bike stand here at Colbert Station, but they would open one at LIT in Moylish, and they would also reopen the one in Kings Island. Here we are now, more than a year later, at the end of 2018, and that was meant to be in situ in April of this year. And now here we are, and none of that has happened. So, and there are politicians and local councillors out there saying, oh, that the scheme is going to expand out to the Crescent, out to UL. This is not going to happen, because the scheme, as it is at the moment, is underfunded, and there is no political will behind it. The stations that were meant to open in April of this year still haven't opened. So, you know, we really have to get the basics right first before we can promise stations out in the Crescent Shopping Centre, because I can't see that happening at the moment. So what I would suggest is, when it comes to improvement projects such as the one on Parnell and Wickham Street, and we really need to be designing it around pedestrians first, cyclists second, and cars third. That means the design at the moment for cyclists along this street in the proposed plans is actually very dangerous, because you're keeping the current infrastructure, so parking on one side, you're going to have a cycle lane then at the side of the parking, and just the cars as usual. So it's going to be really dangerous for cyclists on this road. It's not going to encourage people to cycle, and that's what we really need to be doing in Limerick. And this is a huge issue we have in Limerick, which is a really car-centric city that we're living in. But really, it's like owning a private car is the only reliable transport in Limerick City at the moment, which is really an indictment for a lack of infrastructure for cycling and public transport in this city. And if we really want Limerick to be a livable city, we want to attract workers here of all ages, they're going to expect that they don't have to buy a car to live here. But at the moment in Limerick, you actually need a car to get around, which is really bad.